I've been in your waters. I know I can for sure. I've never been so close before. It's one way or the other.
Everybody. Today, we're going to be discussing some ratchets. We're going to be comparing different brands, different types, different teeth count, different handle styles, and we're going to try to discuss a wide variety of different ratchets and why there's so many different ratchets. So, before we do though, I'm going to ask you something real quick. Me and my buddy at work, we was kind of discussing this riddle, and we was arguing over the answer. So I want to see what you guys think the answer is. It goes something like this. Mark buys a car for $600. He turns around and sells that car for $800. Now, a couple months later, Mark buys this car back for $1,000 and then turns around and sells it for $1,200. What's his total profit? So leave down in the comments, tell me what you think the answer is, and I'm going to compare it to what I think it is and what he says it is, and we're going to see which one of us is right. So without further ado, let's get over here to the ratchet. First thing we're going to discuss here is the drive size. We got 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, and we got a big boy 3/4 right here. Now this here is not going to be a common ratchet that a lot of people is going to use, but they do come in handy. If you're doing anything like taking off axle nuts or anything, those will give you a lot of leverage, and they're nice. They're nice to have around. I think I paid $100 for this. Now, granted, it's just a Craftsman, cheap China-made Craftsman, but it's been pretty good. It's worked well for me. So if you're looking for one, I would recommend getting this one. Why there's so many different drive sizes is because of your application. If say for instance you're working in the interior of a car or somewhere that's a really tight space, then you're going to want to try to use a 1/4 inch ratchet. Now my most common used ratchet is the 3/8. It covers a wide variety and it takes off most of your bolts. Now if you have some bigger bolts or nuts that need to be taken off, or do you need to get some extra leverage on, then that's when you bump it up to 1/2 inch. Now we can take a look here. I got a 14 millimeter on 3 different size ratchets. You got the 1/4 inch, 3/8, and the 1/2 inch. Now you can see the size difference. Depending on your application is what you're going to choose the ratchet for. As you can see here, if we got a 14 millimeter bolt, then depending on where the bolt is, the ease of access, how hard the bolt is to get off, that's going to determine the size ratchet we use. Now we'll get into styles here, but I just wanted to give you a quick look here of the difference between the same size socket but a different drive. Now, other than drive size, we also got different style ratchets. As you can see here, we got a chrome finished round handle. Then we got the chrome finish square handle. This is the old Craftsman USA 3/8 ratchet. And you got the hard plastic grip. This is actually a Craftsman Pro old ratchet, USA made. This is one of the older ones. Now it sucks anymore. I want to speak about Craftsman for a second. It sucks anymore because when you own these nice old ratchets, these old Craftsman ratchets, you got a choice. You can go get it rebuilt or send it in or whatever. And I went to Sears and they'll try to swap you out with a different ratchet. I'm not going to trade this ratchet in for one of their new junk ratchets. I want this ratchet either rebuilt with the same parts, not with some cheap Chinese parts that you're going to throw in there. I want to have this same ratchet, but I can't do that anymore, so that's what sucks. So you end up with these old Craftsman ratchets and you don't want to get rid of them. Like this one's broken. This is actually my buddy's, but this one's broken and there's nothing you can do about it, which, I mean, it's ridiculous. Then you got the comfort grip. As I've said before, these are my favorite style handles. To me, they're just, it feels better. I can grip them better, and it's easier on the old soft little hands. My least favorite are the square grip, and the round grips, okay, but they tend to slip, which I don't like, especially if you're working on a car or doing anything. Your hands are greasy, you got rubber gloves on, and these things, it's hard to get a hold of them. That's why, one of the main reasons why I prefer this. Now the square grip, it is easier to grip, but the comfort is just not there. I just don't, it's so tiny when I hold it like this because it's so thin here and fat here that it just doesn't feel good in my hand. Now, ratchets are, speak real quick, it's just going to be a personal preference. What type of ratchet you like, what brand ratchet you like. It's just, it all comes down to what feels best for you, and all I'm doing is just telling you what feels best for me. Then we also got here, these are nice. These are like offset ratchets. These will save your knuckles, especially like spark plugs or anything like that. Just somewhere that's going to be hard to reach, you can slide this in there and it'll save you from getting your hands all beat up like mine. So I really recommend, now this is a Craftsman, but it's actually, it's a good ratchet, really is. So if you're looking for one, I think I pay like $40 for that. I'd recommend getting that one. Now there's also a knurled handle that'll have knurls in it, which are these. Now these, I like these because, as I said before, it gives you some grip, especially when you're dealing with grease or anything. These things will slip right through your hand, and you get to the knurl and it'll hold, slip, hold. So I really like, especially extensions. We're not talking about extensions, but like if you're going to put on an extension, if it's not a quick release, which we'll get into, and your hands are greasy, it might be hard to pull off. But then they give you the knurl, you can just grab that and pull it right off. A knurled product by the deepness of the grooves. That extension right there has some nice deep knurls in it, so it's really easy to grip. Now you can find some with knurls in it that are just pretty much just like having a chrome finish here. And these here are pass-through ratchets. They're pretty much like a ratcheting wrench, but if you got a long stud with a nut on it, you can slide this down over it and it comes in handy. It really does. You can buy a set. This is just a cheap Craftsman one. You can buy different sets that come with different sockets. As you can see here, I haven't even took the standard out. I don't hardly ever use standard. I mostly mess with Chevys, and it's all metric. But let me show you how this works. this here, it'll just slide into here. You'll press it in and it'll click in. So you're gonna see here, you could slide, as you can see here, this is not gonna fit through here. So there are some limitations. Let's see if this is the biggest one in the set. You can see it'll come down. You can get the nut right there. You can use it to take the nut off. But like I said, there are limitations. Bigger bolts or studs, it's not going to fit over it. But for smaller applications, medium-sized applications, this is going to work just fine. It will come in handy. Now this set here was $30 or $40 or $50, I can't remember. But they also sell a crescent pass-through set that I like. So if you're in the market for one, I'll try to link a crescent set down the bottom. Wouldn't recommend buying Craftsman off Amazon. The prices are overinflated, crazy. If you want Craftsman, you can order it off the Sears website or go to Lowe's now, but Lowe's doesn't offer many Craftsman hand tools, unfortunately. But the Sears website, it's a crappy website, and they try to charge you for shipping. They want you to spend so much, and if there's a Sears near you, you might be able to go get one, but Lowe's, Craftsman needs to step their game up as far as availability of these tools. If not, you know, just offering some drills and drivers, it's not going to be enough. So they need to step their game up. Okay, now we have like round head here. This is a Husky, little 1/4 inch that I have. Then you got the pear head or teardrop head. Now there's also like low profile heads. I don't have any low profile heads. Like these round ones here, some of them have like a flex head that'll like rotate in there. I'm not a big fan of the round heads. You know, some people like them. I'm just not a big fan of them. And you see here we have like flex head, 3/8 drives. Now this here, there's 2 different kinds. Well, 3 different kinds, I guess, maybe more. But like this here will move freely. Same thing with the snap-on here. It just moves freely. Now this is actually my favorite ratchet. I like the length of it. I like the feel of it, even though it's not a comfort grip. And the head's nice and solid. It don't move much on me. So I prefer, this is my go-to. When I go to reach for one, I like to grab this one or this one. This one's quickly becoming my new favorite. It's a Matco. Now this one here, you can see this is actually a locking flex head. I move that and I can adjust this. And there's little teeth in there that'll grab and it'll hold it when I lock it back. Now it won't move, which is good if you know you might have to like adjust it a few times for what you're going for. Like with this one, if I'm trying to get in somewhere, I can just move it and it'll move freely. And that's the disadvantage to this, but this also has the advantage as to where it won't move. If I need to get it in somewhere and I need it to stay right there, then it's going to stay right there. This one here, if I need to get it in somewhere, I need it to stay right there, I might bump it, it might move. And I'll have to try to stick my hand in there and push it back. And there's also these type here. This is a Gearwrench. Now, this is a Gearwrench, but it has Matco guts in it. So it's pretty much a Matco ratchet, just with the Gearwrench handle and head. Now, as you can hear here, this is probably 88 teeth. But this one here will lock, but it's still movable with my hand. So I really do like these two. Then you just got the standard 3/8 ratchet. And now different length, there's different length ratchets. And that's going to depend on how much leverage you need to take a bolt, nut off, whatever. And also how much room you have. Say if I'm sticking this in here and there's an obstruction right here, then you see I could use this freely, but try to use this, that obstruction stopping me. So it's just all going to depend on your application, what ratchet you go to, and also your preference. you know, what style ratchet, what size ratchet you feel most comfortable using. Like I said, I feel most comfortable using 3/8. For a long time, I would just grab the 1/2 inch on about everything. But I switched to the 3/8 because of the weight and because of the size. As far as like the head difference, you can see a humongous head difference compared to the snap-on. This is an old school snap-on. It's one of the old school, probably 60 teeth. Not sure exactly, but it's one. Now they have like the FL80 technology, and we'll get into that a little more here in a few. But these here are actually called speeder wrenches. Now, there's not many applications for these. Now, the only thing that I've really used it for is oil pan bolts. You can break them loose, and you can use this and take them off. Now, these are snap-on speeder wrenches, and you can see here this handle, actually, if you hold the handle, it'll turn on the bar, so you can take bolts or fasteners off really quick. I just thought I'd throw them in there. There's not many applications for them, as I said. I just like to have them. Now, you hear a lot of talk nowadays, especially about the teeth count on these ratchets. As I said before, like Snap-on has the FL80 technology. Then you got the Gearwrench here. These are 88 teeth. You can listen to the difference to the old Snap-on. These feel like some really tough gears in there, but there's not many teeth. Now, what's the advantage to having more teeth? Well, now the theory is the more teeth you have, the less arc swing you need to make the ratchet engage. You can see there, it doesn't take much for this to engage. And this one here, you see, I have to turn it quite a bit more. What's the advantage to that? Depending on your tight situation, I've had to take bolts off before where I've literally only been able to get one click, sit there for 25 minutes taking one bolt off. So the arc swing does come in handy. It really does. But now the difference between arc swing and teeth, at some point, if you got 3,000 teeth in this, at some point you're still only going to get a certain amount of degree turn. Say for instance, with the Snap-on FL80, they claim to have a 4.5 degree swing to where the ratchet will actually engage. Now the Gearwrench 84 tooth claim to have a 4.3 degree. So what are you getting for 4 more teeth? 0.2 degree. Craftsman 75 tooth, they claim to have a 4.8 degree. So the difference between 75 and 80 is 0.3 degrees. Now the Matco 88 tooth ratchet, they're claiming to have 4 degrees arc swing. So for 8 more teeth, they're getting a 0.5 degree advantage over the 82 Snap-on. So if we picture a circle right here, from here, travel all the way around to where we started, there's 360 degrees. So from here to here, if we have one little mark, even marks all the way around, that's a degree. So the difference between 5 degrees and 4 degrees isn't very much, but it may be everything to you depending on the tight situation you're in. At some point, the more teeth you're adding, you're getting less of a return as far as the amount of degree arc swing that you get until the gear engages the pawl. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about when I speak about a pawl and a gear inside the ratchet. Now we got this open, we can look here at the gear here, and you can see the teeth. And this is what they're referring to when they say teeth count, is the amount of teeth from here to there. And the more teeth there is, the less it has to swing. As you can see here, when I turn this, it takes quite a while for this to turn, but this is a bigger ratchet, so the less teeth there is, the less it has to move to engage. Now this is your pawl, not like a dog paw, but a P-A-W-L. And this here will actually engage the teeth and prevent it from turning in one direction and allow it to turn in the other direction. And that's going to depend on where you got your switch set. From there to there. There's a bolt that holds this switch in, and there's a ball down here. That's why you have some force. When this here goes over that ball, the ball will actually press in some and allow you, and it'll keep it in place from moving too easily. Now this is a simplified version here of what it looks like inside of a ratchet. A lot of times you'll have springs and whatnot, but let's talk about what the Snap-on FL80 technology is. Now it has smaller teeth here. If you look down here, these teeth engage on this particular ratchet. It actually catches one tooth. The Snap-on FL80 technology, what it does is it has real fine teeth, which gives it the 80 tooth count, and the paw here will actually engage 3 teeth to give it a very strong hold that will be stronger than this big thicker tooth just holding one tooth. So that's what their whole FL80 technology is, and it's very nice. It really is. Your ratchet's not going to slip. This here will shear a tooth off before it'll shear off the smaller, finer teeth. Now we see here attached to the gear, we got where, if we look at this, this is our quick release. When we press this quick release in, it allows this ball detent to fall in. And that allows you to slap your socket over it. And then when you let go, it'll actually hold your socket in place because it's not allowing this ball to move in far enough to pull your socket. So that's why you have the quick release, allow you to push it. Now you slide your socket off. Now not every ratchet has a quick release mechanism. This does. Snap-on here doesn't. So it's actually just relying on this ball here to hold it in, and it doesn't give the ball very much travel to detent in. So it'll hold your socket a lot easier. Now, I like these, but the quick releases are nice too, but the ones without the quick release, if your hands are oily, greasy, or whatever, and you got a socket on here, and you're trying to pull it off, and your hands are slipping. So that does suck. But with the quick release, I could just turn it down, press that, and it'll pull right off. Now to put this back together, we just take you should probably, if you got one of these open, you should probably go ahead and throw a little bit of grease in there. If you look down in there, you can see a little tiny smidgen of grease. But to put that back on, we just put the faceplate back over. And you can see here on these, you can see a little thread locker that was on there from the factory. I'm just going to slap this back together real quick. I may go back in and grease it later and put some more thread locker on. Now we're going to look at this Pittsburgh ratchet. Now this is their Pittsburgh Pro line. And it's a decent ratchet. It really is. I've used this one quite a bit. It holds up good, but I'm going to show you the thing that holds this thing back that it's hard for me to overcome. Here in the back, now, first off, if we look at the difference between the Snap-on and this, we can see this has a longer handle than this Snap-on, so it will allow you to get more leverage, and the head actually does hold on pretty good on this as far as staying in place. This ratchet is about a year old, and I've used it quite a bit. This ratchet here is quite a bit older, and I've used it way more. But back here, the on-off switch. Now I'm not sure why. There's some Mac ratchets like this too, where they have the on-off switch backwards. I'm so used, this is just a personal preference thing because I'm so used to having my on be here and my off be here that there's many times, even though it's written on the back, that I'll put it in the wrong spot because I don't always have access. I may have to slide this up in there, and I may have to slide this up in somewhere, and I may not be able to see that. And just by instinct, I'll think I'm going on and I'm going off, and I'll have to switch it back. And it's aggravating to me. Like I said, it's just a personal preference thing, but that's not a deal breaker. This is what is the deal breaker with me on these ratchets. And if they could fix this, then these would be pretty good ratchets. It's this on-off switch. It moves way too easy. Way too easy. When I go to stick this up in somewhere, there's so many times to where I'll stick it up in and it'll brush up against something and knock that switch to the other position. So as we've seen with the Craftsman, we could take a look here. You can see the teeth, they're a lot finer. They got some good grease in here too. Now we can see here the springs that I was talking about earlier, because it's just too easy to turn one way or the other. So what they probably needed was some springs that would require more force to compress. That's the only major flaw to this ratchet, and it's, for me, I can't use it because of that. They actually are pretty solid. They're sturdy. They hold. Fine teeth. Now, fine teeth's a term that gets thrown around a lot. There's really no point to where teeth become fine versus not fine. I mean, you could consider a 60-tooth ratchet fine teeth, which I've seen people have. I don't know the exact tooth count on this, but it's a lot. This is a J.H. Willliams 1/4-inch ratchet. And for people who don't know, Snap-on makes them. And I actually found this on Amazon for like $30. And it's a really nice 1/4-inch ratchet. I don't know if you can see it, but made in the USA for $30. So there are some affordable made in the USA tools. That's not much more expensive than your Pittsburgh Pro Ratchets. If you did have this ratchet and you took it apart, be careful and don't strip these heads out, because it actually takes a T8 to take them off, which is really small. So it wouldn't be hard to strip those heads out. But like I said, there's no sense to over torque it. Just snug it up, put you some thread locker on there, clean out the inside. If you go to clean this or take it apart and fix it, pull it apart. If you got your rebuild kit, pull it apart, take some mineral spirits, clean that whole inside out, clean all your gears off, dry it off, repack it with fresh grease, and put some thread locker on your bolts, and you'll be good to go. You have like a brand new ratchet like this one. This Gearwrench, it's just been freshly rebuilt. But as I said, this is not a bad ratchet. Other than this, I can't get over it. It's happened to me too many times. I'll try to fish this up in somewhere that I can barely get in anyway, and then it switches the opposite direction. Now I got to pull it back out, push it back, try to do it again. So for me, that's the deal breaker with this ratchet. But other than that, it's sturdy, it holds up good, and it looks decent. It looks just as good. It looks just as good as this Matco one. Now this Matco is a lot higher quality, but as I said in a previous video, this is a $20 ratchet. This is a $180 ratchet. Now this Gearwrench, this is actually a very nice ratchet. This is my buddy's, but it's actually a very nice ratchet. If somebody wanted to find a middle grade ratchet to buy some decent ratchets, and you didn't want to buy the Pittsburgh Pros, and if you're working professionally, I wouldn't buy the Pittsburgh Pros just based off this ratchet. And I've used their 1/2-inch ratchet as well, and I didn't like that either. But I wouldn't buy this ratchet just because of this. It's going to drive you crazy. I would go ahead and just pony up and spend a little bit more and buy some Gearwrench. You can find a 4-piece set on Amazon, Gearwrench ratchets, for around $100. It comes with a stubby 3/8, a 3/8, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch. I'll link that down below too if you want to check it out. Well, that's about all we can talk about on ratchets, I guess. As I said before, it just comes down to a personal preference in a lot of cases to what works best for you, what feels best for you. There's a lot of old school guys that would rather use one of these than use a new Matco or new Snap-on. To me, in my personal opinion, Snap-on does make the best ratchets. They're strong, they're sturdy, but they're expensive. But they are the best, in my honest opinion. Now, these are I got some old Snap-on ratchets. I don't have any of the FL80 technology, or I would have showed you. But like this old one here is an F731. Not sure exactly how old it is, but it's pretty old, and it actually is broke. But I can't even get the thing rebuilt. For one, there ain't a Snap-on guy around here, and then for two, I have to fight with them to rebuild it. So I'll just hold on to it. Maybe one day there'll be a good one around, and I can get it rebuilt. But like I said, there ain't one around now, so there's nothing I can do. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment below. Let me know what your favorite ratchet is. Let me know if you own these Pittsburgh Pros, if you like them, or if you have this same problem I'm having. And I'm pretty sure this is a common problem on these, and that's their biggest drawback. Now, I'm surprised, as you've seen before, in my last video where I reviewed the Icon breaker bar versus the Pittsburgh breaker bar, I'd say their next logical step is going to be to come out with a line of ratchets that are a step above these, and maybe they'll address that problem. We'll see how much they cost. Probably be Icon ratchets. That's my guess. Anyway, guys, till next time, y'all take it easy.